So, yes, I am still doing the self-coaching series, and I wanted to share what I believe is the number one weight loss tip. I talked about this in my book, but in a different way. But this is truly my number one weight loss tip. When you're ready to actually do this, then it's good to get a piece of paper and write it down because there is an exercise. However, for now, just listen really quickly to this concept because, again, it's the number one weight loss tip that I have. And that is to make sure that you have a strong yet realistic commitment to what you're trying to do. And when you think about commitment, you have to think about it in the same way as you would a relationship, right? If you're married or you have a significant other, when you think about commitment, there is no wiggle room. There's no, oops, I cheated, right? So if you don't have wiggle room in your relationships with other people, then why would you have wiggle room in your relationship with yourself? At the end of the day, the outcome that you're trying to achieve through your weight loss is a more healthful, vibrant life for yourself. So that's really about your relationship with yourself. So decide what you're committed to for yourself and give yourself just as little wiggle room as you would give your spouse or your significant other. Now, that being said, the commitment has to be strong, but again, it also has to be realistic, right? So you're not going to date or marry somebody who isn't attracted to you, because that means that commitment is not going to be realistic for them. It's not going to be easy for them. You don't want to be with somebody who's running around like, ooh, I want something sweet, right? You want to be what is sweet for them. So you have to really decide in your lifestyle what is truly realistic and what can you really be committed to. Not saying that it's not going to be work, not saying that it's going to be easy, but if you make a commitment that is realistic, it's going to be more likely that you will stick to it. So let's break this apart. So start with, what is your strategy? What is your eating strategy? And as we go through this, I'll use myself as an example. My eating strategy is plant-based, low to no oil and no salt. So if that is my strategy, that is my ideal. That is, if I wake up in the morning and I'm having a perfect day and I do everything exactly right, then I am eating on that strategy 100% of the time, right? Now, when you break it down and you think about the commitment, you have to say, okay, how long am I doing this for? So it starts with time frame. My time frame for this commitment is 3 weeks. So again, that helps the commitment to become more realistic, because even though I'm ultimately making a lifestyle change, it helps to say, I just need to get to this 3-week period and keep these promises that I'm making to myself. Okay. So my time frame is 3 weeks. You could also put it to a time frame or to a goal. So you could say, by the time I'm going to stay on this course until I lose 20 pounds or until I lose 50 pounds, or like I said, a date, so 3 weeks, or until the holidays, or until my birthday. So you just want to make sure you have your strategy and then you have your time frame. And then after that, you're going to go through 3 different areas and pick 1 to 3 items. So the first area is traps. We all have traps. So think about, when are you most likely not to follow your strategy or your diet plan, okay? For me, the number one time that I am not likely to follow my plan or my strategy is when I'm sad, mad, or stressed. So that's one trap for me, my feelings. That's one trap. My second trap is if I'm out and about during the day, and I'm either in an environment that I haven't packed my food, I haven't taken my food, because I'm not the type of person that would typically like pack a lunch. So that daytime out and about is my second trap. And then my third trap is if it's time to celebrate, go out to dinner, go out to eat with my family, then I'm prone to thinking of eating poorly as treating myself. I know, makes no sense, but I'm prone to think that way. So when I am out with my family or celebrating, that's my third trap. So the first thing you have to do is identify 1 to 3 traps. If identifying 3 areas is too much for you, remember the most important part of this is that you keep it realistic. So it's realistic for me to pick 3 areas in each of these zones and then identify my plan. So for me, again, my traps, I have 3 traps. So the first trap is when I'm sad, mad, or stressed. And typically that would mean that I am going to go in the pantry and raid my son's snacks. That's the moment where I'll get one of those little, lunch-sized packs of chips and eat them. And it's not even like something that's satisfying for me. It's just like a bad habit, right? So I have to replace that with something else. And so what I've decided is to stay within my plan. I like, they call it dream cream, where you just take like the frozen bananas and then I roast walnuts and I put some cinnamon and I make me like a homemade plant-based ice cream, right? That's a treat that I really like. I don't do it often, and eating the nuts, the amount of nuts that I like to put in it, is actually not on my plan, right? But because I'm trying to stay realistic, I will put that as my strategy for my trap. So when I'm stressed, sad, or just mad, then I know that that's my go-to. Instead of going to the pantry and grabbing his snacks, I will go to the blender and make that treat, and it would suffice in the same way. It's just switching a habit. When I'm out and about, I've just identified that these are typically places that I am during the day, and these are food options for me. So for example, if I'm downtown and I'm there, and I have to have a meal that's out, then there's a vegan restaurant. It uses more oil and more salt than my strategy allows, but that's a much better choice than going for wings with another group of people, right? So I've identified, like, these are places that I'm constantly trapped in. And so when I am there, what am I going to do? What is going to be my eating strategy? And I'm planning that now so that when it comes, I'm telling myself that I am committed to this. And so because of my commitment, I'm going here. I'm going to this restaurant. And then I'm also, as a part of that trap, promise to keep an apple in my bag or in my car, so that if I don't need a full-on meal, but I just need a snack, that I'm not dropping off and getting an unhealthy bar, that I have, an apple or something like that available to me in my purse and or in my car. So that's my second trap and my second plan. And then the other area is if I'm out celebrating. So I've already identified, if I go out and I'm celebrating, or I go out to dinner, I've identified this is my standard order, right? So wherever I'm out, I would just order a salmon salad. And then that way, again, salmon is not on my strategy, but it's a much better plan than ordering the pasta, because I'm out and so I didn't have a choice, right? It doesn't give me that excuse. I'm already identifying, when I go out to dinner, then this is what I am going to choose if there is not a plant-based option available to me. Or that's the exception when I can order, the green beans and the broccoli and maybe another green side, knowing that there may be butter in that option. So it's just a way of thinking through typical traps and then identifying solutions for yourself before you're in that situation. Because what that does is it switches your habits and it helps you to maintain, if not continue to lose weight as you go through life, okay? And then there are 2 other broad areas. So we talked about traps, and then the other 2 areas is what you will do and what you won't do. So on my I will, right, I have 3 within my I will, and that is I will move at least 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, right? So you may have an exercise I will, and my goal is to exercise for 5 hours a week. But if I'm being realistic, that may or may not be possible. But to move for at least 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, that's a commitment that I have to make to myself, and I'm willing to make to myself. So again, I have 3 different items under my I will. I have one related to movement, one related to water, because that's another big one. I mean, everybody says, oh, they're going to drink 64 ounces of water a day, or they're going to drink a gallon of water a day. I'm not very good on my water intake. So I'm starting with, I'm going to drink at least 40 ounces of water a day. Of course, my goal, my ideal would be that I'm at the 64 ounces, but let's keep it real. I normally don't do 64 ounces. So even if I just commit to doing 40, I'm doing a whole lot better than I normally would. And I just need to make that commitment to myself and make sure that I am doing that. And it's definitely achievable. It's something that I could put into my lifestyle, and it's not going to make me feel restricted in any way. So I think you get the idea now. It's identifying your traps, any number between 1 and 3, and then coming up with a plan as to how you're going to counteract those traps. And then identifying 1 to 3 things that you will do and 1 to 3 things that you will not do. So my I will not is I will not drink wine, even if I am at a celebration. I'm just not going to do it. I can do that for myself, because those extra calories, that metabolic change is just not worth it for me. So that's something that I have to do. The other thing that I often fall into the trap of is just putting a little bit of cream in my coffee when I'm plant-based, but then I'll put the half and half. So I am not going to do the half and half. So I think you get the idea. Again, it's just the traps, the I wills, and the I won'ts. And you identify between 1 and 3 in each of those areas. You pick a time frame and you pick a strategy and you go forward, and you will see amazing changes in your outcomes by keeping your commitments, because commitment is key. It's key, because otherwise you go off and then you stay off longer than you planned on staying off. A cheat meal becomes a cheat day, becomes a I'm going to get back on track the next week. And again, if you just think about it in the way that you would think about your significant other, would you cheat? I hope the answer was no. But really, I mean, it's not getting off the wagon and getting back on the wagon. It's really about being committed, and being committed to the outcomes you want to see for yourself, and thinking about it in that way. Don't cheat on yourself. Okay? That's it. If you have questions, if you need assistance with this, then hit me in the comments. I will answer. And as always, be well.